the few remaining minutes, I think we have 5 minutes left before closing the session, I would like to open for any questions that you may have in the audience and a few that we may have received from you in advance. So if anyone has questions, please, could we have the lights and invite you to ask those questions, please. I see that there is one. We have some microphones available.
Well,
yes.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Anerud. I would like to thank the members of the team who have been able to build such an interesting group and giving the Spanish-speaking profession a very good tool to continue working well. The comment of technical good English is extremely difficult unless you are a native speaking. For this reason, having the possibility to have the availability of good translations of the international auditing standards allows the practitioners, especially the small and medium-sized practitioners, to do an excellent job. From the other side, we also encounter that these standards are being used by our regulators. When we have the opportunity to participate in such a project, we are helping our regulators to understand better the way that the auditors are thinking. And we cannot forget that once these standards are accepted by our regulators, they become law. So at the end, this group is assisting our governments in producing law written in Spanish. I needed to say that in every country, in every region, sometimes there are big differences in languages, and this group is finding a unified Spanish, which I'm convinced that will help not only to work better together with the international auditing standards, but also to create wealth and business opportunities among the Spanish-speaking countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose Maria. That was a very, very encouraging comment to look at it in a broader perspective and the other advantages that it creates. Thank you. I see one question here, please, and then followed by that question on the row there. Here, please.
This is Amir Purian Asaf from Iran. English is not my first language, so I'm here and to teach how to translate from English to Persian. I believe in one principle. I call it one principle. One concept, one term. Margarita, thank you for your presentation, but you didn't use this principle. You use CAT for another concept. We use CAT for computer-assisted auditing tools and techniques. This concept, this principle not allowed to you to use the term for another concept, okay? For this, I suggest to IFAC, please run some courses for terminology. We need to know etymology, so we need to make some words, new words. We need, we don't need to dive into the bilingual languages, bilingual dictionaries. We don't need to dive bilingual dictionaries. We need to comment on terminology. We must have abilities for terminology. Please run some courses to teach us how use terminology for word formation, word making, and use 1-1 principle. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Certainly, we will take that on board about the need to understand the various concepts. One of the examples that I've found that we had received a number of questions on was the concept of reasonable assurance, as well as the true and fair view, and what does that really mean. And I would encourage you to stay in touch with us, because actually we may have received some similar questions before, and we might be able to assist in that way. Thank you for your question. And finally, please.
So thank you very much. My name is Alexandra Makaronidis, and I'm from the European Commission. I'm not a translator. I'm responsible for public sector standards. I would like to thank you for organizing this session and congratulate the organizers and also those who contributed to this session, because we think translation is an extremely important issue in standard setting. If I may, I would like to contribute a few comments for your consideration. Thanks very much to Hilde for a very clear presentation of a rather complex issue. And I would like to reassure you that there are very thorough controls, quality controls within Commission for whatever translation we produce. This is because it's our responsibility under the treaties to provide translations in all official languages. And there are two levels of control, if I may say, which were not mentioned. The first is that there is what we call the lawyer linguists, which is a control operated very often on a sample basis. And these are legal experts who check for consistency all legal versions of future legislation. The second level of control is also in the case of the IFRS. It goes through the regulatory committee, which in this case is the accounting regulatory committee. And they are the member state experts. They have the possibility to check the translated version of the draft piece of legislation before it is endorsed. This is quite an important step in this thing. If I may also add, through the cooperation agreements with the EFTA and the bilateral agreement with Switzerland, in most cases, the legislation we produce is directly applicable also in those countries, and this involves even more translation and more languages. I think it's very important to consider this. But we should also consider that once these texts have been translated, the standards, they have legal power, they are binding for member states, and the Commission automatically gets enforcement powers over the member states. And this is quite important, and this is why also translation is extremely important. And if in the very unfortunate case something goes wrong, we must also understand that under the EU treaties, all languages are equal. And this means all texts have the same legal power. There cannot be under the EU treaties any source or reference text. All legal translations have exactly the same legal power. And in this case, it is the job of the European Court of Justice, if need be, to provide, let's say, an authoritative interpretation of the text that somehow accommodates all linguistic versions that do exist. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for that valuable insight, which I think is closely linked to Mr. Bovet's comment as well about the importance of translations in terms of the legal adoption and the importance. We certainly appreciated the cooperation we've had with the European Commission starting in 2009 with the Directorate General of Markets and the Directorate General of Translations. And we look forward to reviving that again now as we move forward in terms of ISA adoption. So thank you very much.